So hi guys, I hope you're doing great. I'm Jamal Bida, and on the video we're gonna continue with our lesson on what exactly that we left on our previous video. On our previous video, guys, we have been so far be able to design the walls. We have looked at the wall, the dimension tool, and of course the grid lines. That is absolutely, I think, is good. So today I want to we look at something else which exactly that we call layers, which is absolutely the most important before that you go ahead and actually start your Archicad file, so that then you can be able kind of arrange your files in a better way. So what exactly we call layers, it's like it's like the way we told that I don't put all your eggs in one basket, so you can be able a way in which exactly, and layers are very important when it comes to architectural design, particularly in Archicad, because then you can have kind of a neat work, and that absolutely going to help you. For example, when you feel that your design is so much congested, you can be able to hide some layers, and so that then you can be able to have kind of a neat working area. So layers will be found here on document. So you can come here on document, and then we have this option here, layers. Another option way to go there is actually to click on Control L. You're gonna go all the way, and it's gonna bring you also to layers. So those are the two ways in which exactly you can be able to access the layers tool. So you're gonna come here on document, and then you come here on layers. While you click on this arrow button on your right hand, you're gonna find it has all these kind of options, but mostly I want to we look at you're gonna find here we have the layers model view. You see, so when you click there, you're going to find that you have all these different layers. They are called layers. Then here on this side, we have layer combination. But I don't want to look at the layer combination. I want to look mostly on my right hand where exactly we have layers. Now, what exactly happens? You see there is this kind of an eye kind of sign here, this kind of eye. And then you see it is closed, or it's actually it's kind of an eye is, an eye which is you can be able to see, and then you can be able to close it. So that's how exactly you can be able to hide, and you can be able to, show a layer. So once it is like that, it means now it is actually hidden. So those elements will not be seen on your Archicad once on your drawing, but then once you activate them, then they're gonna come into service, and then you can be able to see them. So let me first of all look at where exactly layers will appear. So for example, if I click on a wall, when you see here at the top on my left corner, you see here we have this structural bearing, and then once you hover around it, above it, you can see it's a layer structural bearing. Once I click on here, you can see all these now are my layers, and then that wall is actually in a layer called a structural bearing. You see, so what will happen now if I right click this, I select a wall, and then I right click, and then I can come here on layers. You see here we have this option layers, and then I can say, for example, hide. So what exactly is going to happen? You see now I don't have walls on this drawing. That does not mean that I've deleted them. It's only that have hidden them using the layer tool. You see, now let's say, for example, here I can select this grid line. You see now my grid lines are in a layer called structural grid. You see, so that's very most important. Now what will happen if I right click, and then I come here on layers, and then I can be able to hide that layer. You see, so now they have disappeared, or they have been hidden. So that's what exactly layers you can be able to work with, and that absolutely really helps, because if you are in a situation where exactly like you don't want to see something, you can actually be able to hide that particular element in your drawing. And then here, guys, if I select this dimension, you see now this dimension are in a layer called dimension general. So if I go ahead and actually hide the layers, I hide it, it means now I will not have anything on my drawing. That's what exactly the layers will be. For example, even these elevation tools, you see here they are in a layer called marker elevation. So each and every element that you're going to go ahead and actually draw, you have to ensure they are in a layer that actually goes or can be identified with that layer. So also I can go ahead and actually hide this one, so I can say hide layer. You see now my drawing is absolutely like empty, but I've not actually deleted anything. what exactly I've done, I have hidden those layers. So that's how the layers will work. Now, if I wanted to bring back each and everything which was here, all I need is to go here on document and then layers, and then I'm gonna say here show all layers. If that's not the case, for example, if I say show all layers, or let me come here on a layers model view. And then you see anything that you see has that eye is closed. For example, like this one, marker elevation. You see this sign, it means that that layer is actually hidden. Also here, structural bearing, which was actually the layer with our walls, is actually also hidden. And also here, guys, you can see the structural grid also it's hidden. So if I want to actually to show that layer, what exactly I'm going to do is actually open that, you see, and open here, and I can just open all my layers, for example, or let me first of all hide this, and I just show maybe structural bearing, maybe for the walls. Let me hide also this. So I've shown the walls. So if I click OK, you see now my walls are back here. You see, so that's what exactly that I mean. So if I now want my dimensions to come back, I can just go here, layers view, and then I can, for example, my grid lines, for grid lines, I can come here and find my layer, which exactly was structural grid. So this one, then I'm gonna open that and hide, and then I say okay. You see now my grid lines are back on my drawing. So that's how exactly you work with the layers. Then exactly what you can do alternatively, you just come here and say show all layers. That will now bring all the layers which are actually been hidden, and then you can see now we have our elevations, we have our grid lines, and then we also have our dimensions, which absolutely is a very most important. So that's how exactly you work with layers. But guys, let's assume, for example, I want this wall, because this wall is actually kind of a partition wall, or I can actually go ahead and create a new layer. For example, all my internal walls, I may create a layer of internal walls. You see, so what exactly I'm gonna go? I'm gonna come here on document and then layers, and then I'm gonna say layers model view. All, so that's gonna bring me to here. Or alternatively, I want to come back here, I can actually click on Control L. So it's gonna bring me here. So you can come here on document, layers, and then layers model views, and then I have this now. If I want to create a new layer, I'm gonna come here on my right hand at the top, and then I'm gonna say new. And then it's going to bring me this kind of a pop-up, and then it's going to tell me these are new layers, so I need to name that layer. So for example, I'm going to say this is internal. So I'm going to say internal walls, right? So internal walls, and then I'm going to say okay. So I've actually created a new layer. Then I'm going to say okay, so this is the layer that we have created, internal walls. I'm going to say okay. Now, what exactly I want to show you is that you see now here, this wall here is actually on a layer called structural bearing. That's how exactly and then it's going to have a tick on the side. So if you have a layer, it's going to have this tick here, or it's going to pop up here at the top. This is the layer in that wall. You see, so if I click, for example, here, this is the structural grid. It shows that this grid line is on a layer called the structural grid. And then also dimension, it's on the dimension general. Now, what exactly then I'm going to do is that I can actually select the walls, the internal walls, and then I'm going to place them on a different layer. You see now I want to select all my internal walls. So let's select all the internal walls. You see? Yeah, like that. And then I'm going to change here now. I'm going to come here, and then I will change this layer by actually clicking on the internal walls. You see this layer here, or is it? Yeah, here you see here we have internal walls. You see this area we created. So I'm going to click on that, and then now all these walls now will be on a layer called internal walls. What exactly does that mean? That if in case now I hide these external walls, the exterior walls, it is not going to hide the internal walls. Now you see when I click here, this now calls for internal walls. When I click the exterior walls, it now says these are structural bearing walls. You see? Yeah, so that's the difference on how exactly you can be able to create any layer that you want. For example, if you have a slab, you can actually have a slab which is actually like the floor finish slab. For example, here, let's say, for example, you want to draw a slab. I know we have not done slab, but this is a slab tool here. If I take my slab tool and actually come here, let me show you a little bit. I know we have not done slab, but then here, this is the height. Then I can actually come here and draw my slab. You know, when I come on 3D, you can see now I have a floor. Now, this floor, what exactly will happen is I will now you see now this floor reads structural bearing, you see? Now, this wall also is also in a layer called structural bearing. So I don't want to, for example, if I hide this wall, let me show you here. If I hide that wall, you see it hides even the slab or the floor. But that's not what exactly I want. So I'm going to come here and show all. What exactly now I want is I'll go ahead and actually hide this the floor now. I'm gonna change this floor to change it to the layer of it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and actually put it in a finished floor. So you see here we have a floor finish, you know. So I'm gonna change that floor there. And actually, as you have noticed, I've changing also the layers also in a 3D. Also, when I'm on the floor on my 2D, I can actually come here and change. You see, it still need a structural bearing. So I'm gonna come here and change it and place it on a finished floor. So that's what exactly going to happen. And then now, guys, when I click it, you can see now it reads finished floor. Now, the same, for example, when you come here, you see now this is internal wall. When I click here, you see this is finished floor. And that's what exactly going to happen when you arrange all these layers in different layers. So that's the importance of layers. And that is, you know, so if you don't want, for example, like to have this floor, well, actually you're working on other items, so you can actually come here and like click and say layers, and then you can say hide layer, you see? Yeah, so you see now I don't have the floor, so that means now I can be able to navigate very easily. But when I come on the My 3D, you can see still this layer is still here. So once you hide a layer on your 2D plan, it doesn't really mean that's going actually to hide those layers on a 3D. So you're going to have to hide layers either in a 2D or in your floor plan, or you can actually hide them on your 3D, and that's going to be very most important. So let's go ahead and actually hide now this one on our 3D, and then you can just say hide that layer. You can actually see now, for example, if I hide on my 3D, I hide this wall. You see, it's actually internal walls, because all the internal walls, we put them on a different layer. And come here and say hide layer, you see. But now once I come here on my, you see they're still existing on my plan. So so that's the whole difference, you know. So you can be able to really work. I don't know why this is structural bearing. So you can actually even change this wall to be internal wall. So I don't know where this is the internal wall. Yeah, so you can go ahead and actually. Now you see what exactly has happened is you put a layer if you put an element in a layer which was actually hidden, it's actually going also that element will be hidden, because that layer is already hidden on your it's already hidden on that, right? So that's how exactly that you go ahead and actually create layers, and layers are very most important. They help you in terms of creating even this you know, these you see, for example, I can create internal dimensions. You see here, I can come here and create, you know, have internal dimensions. And then these internal dimensions, I can go ahead and actually make them in their own layer. You see, because sometimes what exactly will happen, you might have dimensions and then you don't want to hide all the dimensions. Probably there are dimensions that you want to have. So I can go ahead and come here on document, layers, and then I can say layers model view. Then I can say new layer, and then I can say dim dimension internal. I can say dim maybe a dimension 2, so a set of dimensions. So when I see 2, I will know that that is internal dimension. So I can say okay, and then say okay there. So what exactly will happen is that once you're creating layers, you will create layers where you personally can be able to understand what exactly those layers going to represent. So it's going to not be general for anybody. It's going to be the names that you think they are comfortable for you. So I can actually select this and come here and come on the dim. You see how I have now dimension 2, and then now this dimension 2, I can actually hide them. You see, I can say hide. You see, now it doesn't now affect the other dimension. But if I come here and actually hide these dimensions, you see, and then I can hide all these other elements, and then we can have like that. Then pick this also and hide. So I've hidden everything on my diagram, and also this one I can actually hide them. So that's the importance of layers. As you work on Archicad, it's very most important to remember that layers are quite important. Another video. So finally, if you want us to bring all those elements into play, you're gonna come here, layers, and say show all layers. You see, now for example, if I hide this one, you see now I can be able to hide that, and then I have hidden the dimension, but now I still have these internal dimensions still being there. So that's the importance of dimension. And not the dimension, but layers tool in Archicad, which is absolutely very most important for anybody working on Archicad. So see you on the next video, and probably on the next video we're going to be looking probably on the slab, because I think we have checked on the slab. So I'm going to show you how you put the floor and everything. So see you next on the next video. I'm Jamo, the builder.